What are the consequences of having too little butyrate? What are the symptoms?
Well, there are many symptoms. So some of the symptoms some of the things that I really like to bring up are butyrate literally is the food for our intestinal epithelial cells. So the one cell layer that's lining our intestines, they're called intestinal epithelium. Those cells have evolved over millions of years to actually use butyrate, that is basically micro poop from bacteria, as food. So they're using it, not glucose, but they're also using glucose, but they're using that butyrate. And so to maintain health of the intestinal lining, you need butyrate. To me, that's probably one of the best, healthy uses of butyrate, but there's many others. The one that I really, really love that I mention a lot is we all know people who get sick once or they get vaccinated once and they don't get sick again.
Mm-hmm.
And we know people who repeatedly get sick, whether they get sick from the pathogen whether they get vaccinated or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this phenomenon has been known since the advent of vaccines and since we've known about infectious diseases, that some people respond to vaccines and some people do not. And some people get sick once with something and then they're protected and others don't.
Mm-hmm.
And just maybe 2 years ago, we teased apart, and when I say we, the scientific community, we didn't discover this at Viome. The scientific community teased apart the mechanism, and I'll now get a little technical, but basically, for viruses, the key immune cell that fights viruses is called T cell.
Mm-hmm.
T cells will recognize human cells that are infected by the virus and kill that human cell, therefore kill the virus, because the viruses require human cells. And these T cells are cytotoxic T cells, and they're active during the infection. However, after the infection, they will die unless they transform themselves into something called memory T cell. Memory T cells essentially live in your bloodstream for decades.
Mm-hmm.
They remember that pathogen. That's why they're called memory T cell. They remember that pathogen so that next time you get infected by that pathogen, they jump on, they kill
mm-hmm.
it before you even have symptoms.
I see. And I would imagine in some people that process happens very readily or easily, and other people maybe not so much.
The trigger for that process is bacterially produced butyrate in the colon.
Really?
They only respond to that molecule. They don't respond
to all transitions from T cells to memory B cells?
To
That's
memory
a general
T
thing?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
So butyrate is required for that transition. And so if you're not eating fiber towards the end of your illness or right after your illness, when you still have those cytotoxic T cells that are reactive to the pathogen, if you're not eating the right fiber for your gut microbiome, or if you have lost members of your gut microbiome that produce butyrate, then you can eat all the fiber you want. Your immune system will not remember that pathogen, and you will get sick over and over and over again.
Wow.
How crazy is that?
Yeah, that's remarkable, because it's like context dependence on multiple levels. Like, obviously you have to get the infection for the immune system to kick in at all. And then you need to have the right diet induced microbe byproduct at the right phase of that infection to initiate the transition from the one type of T cell to the memory cell.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
So these are super important things, and for our physiology. And this is just one of thousands of examples where microbiome byproducts influence our mental, physical, cognitive, and immune health.
Yeah. So talk a little bit more about essentially. So you're not measuring just the microbiome population. You're not measuring which species are present and absent. You're doing that, but you're also measuring what we can just think of as microbial behavior, what they're doing, whether or not they're producing certain metabolites or others, and how quickly or how readily they're doing
how much of that, because the quantity is very important.
Mm-hmm.
And our method is natively quantitative. And